It's Chris and Lisa from Been There, Got Out. Chris is just here for a second because he gets the credit for our next guest. He's the one who got her. So we are going to be welcoming Rebecca Zung in the next minute or so. There she is. Okay. Hi. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Hi.
So thanks
Hi.
for coming on. Glad this works. Are you still in the middle of your monsoon?
No, it's beautiful today. You wouldn't even know that it happened yesterday. It's so crazy.
Okay, good.
Here in New York, the winter's getting its last couple of kicks in.
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah,
it
it's
was
cold.
super cold. And like last week, it was like 60 degrees there or something, right?
I was driving around with the top down last week
Crazy.
in March. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going to field questions. Just wanted to say hi. I'm going to be right over there on the other side of our office and listening and fielding questions. So we'll see you soon.
I know, because I never can pay attention. Like I'm looking at you and talking, and I can't keep up with whatever comes on the screen. So he helps with that.
Well, you look so beautiful.
Thanks. But you, I look brighter than you, I think, because I have the light on.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Yeah. Normally it looks brighter in here, but I don't know.
No, but I love all your books.
Yeah. Well, I try to like have at least a little bit of a background, so it's something more interesting to look at.
Yeah, well, I personally love books because my background is, in education as an English teacher, and also for 17 years I ran my library's book sale. So
nice. I used to be
love
a teacher too before I was a lawyer. Yeah, long ago.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I'm thinking of my first question for you. Well, first, welcome, Rebecca. I think probably everyone here already knows who you are, unless you want to do a brief introduction of yourself.
I'm a lawyer. I'm a narcissist negotiation expert, and I do YouTube, and I think that's mostly the things that people know about me, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I was thinking, with your background, I didn't know that you used to be a teacher, but I was going to say, how did you even get involved with this type of law and negotiation? Because I'm assuming that when you were a child, you didn't think,
No,
I want to grow up and negotiate with narcissists really well.
I wasn't like playing with Barbies and thinking that Ken was a narcissist. That wasn't like in my vernacular at some point. No. And I really didn't even think I wanted to be a family law attorney. And a lot of people mistakenly think that I was married to a narcissist, but that's not true. My first husband was a really great guy, nice guy. I still have a very good relationship with him, actually. It's just that we weren't suited. I married him when I was 19, and
Wow.
yeah, and I had 3 kids by the time I was 22.
You're kidding.
No, I know, it was crazy. And we just weren't suited for each other. And I got divorced in my mid-20s and went back to law school at night. University of Miami had a night program at the time. So I was teaching school during the day and going
Rebecca, what were you teaching? What was your career?
I was teaching elementary school in the inner city of Fort Lauderdale. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, all of my children were like on free and reduced lunch, and it was a very interesting time for me. But and very great. I mean, in a lot of ways, a really great experience for me. But it seems like a whole different lifetime ago, honestly. My kids were little, and it was like survival, and I really just wanted to put a roof over their head and figure out a way to like feed them and create a life for ourselves. And I knew I didn't want to be a school principal, and I had finished college basically when I was like pregnant with my 3rd child, and then started teaching school, and so I just knew the marriage wasn't working, and so I knew I needed to get an advanced degree, and so I thought I wanted to do like business law or something like that. But I met this woman who was also, I'm half Chinese, and I met this woman who was half Chinese, and her dad had also been an anesthesiologist, and that's what my dad had been, and like we had all these things in common.
Yeah.
And she was this high net worth family law attorney. And she basically talked me into coming to work for her and said, oh, my cases are basically like businesses that are dissolving. And so, you know, at the time, just getting a job out of law school was a great thing, honestly. And so I was like, okay, I'll take it. And you know, that's really how my career path started. So long
That's
ago.
amazing. I don't know if you've ever talked about that in your videos. I don't remember ever seeing anything about your background like that.
No, I mean, I got that job while I was still in law school. I met my husband, my current husband, in law school. He was a year ahead of me, and he had gotten a job in Naples as a prosecutor. And I met this woman at a prosecutor's dinner. She had been married to a judge that my husband was appearing in front of all the time. And I met her at this dinner, and that's how my whole career started.
It's so serendipitous. And I'm thinking I have a 22-year-old, and just the thought of him with kids is like astonishing. But I think it's amazing that, you know, you were such a young mother, you had 3 kids, and then you went to law school at night, which is what a lot of really, you know, hardworking, successful attorneys do, is the night school thing, and that you're building a family for yourself. And I think that so many people in our community could relate to that, like juggling parenthood with school. And I think that's so admirable, because now you've used like a combination of serendipity and a lot of hard work to build a huge reputation for yourself.
I did. And I went on to have a 4th child with my current husband. So I have a 19-year-old with my current husband. So I have 4 total. So I understand what it means to be a single mom. You know, I tell people all the time, I went from being a single mom, I was a college dropout initially, to being, you know, one of the top attorneys in the country. You know, I mean, I've been, you know, I've been fortunate enough to get a lot of accolades from, you know, U.S. News and World Report, and, you know, venerated by a lot of the top, you know, you know, Martindale Hubble. And really, I'm very, very fortunate. I've been very fortunate to have a great career and a supportive husband. So I have had to deal with narcissists in my personal life, but not as a husband, thank God.
Yeah, that's good. So, you know, I was going to ask you what personal traits you bring to this business that make you one of the best, but I can already think of one in just the background in teaching. I think that, you know, being trained as a teacher in classroom management, because I myself am an educator, though I taught high school and adults, but learning how to manage like a room full of teenagers, I think is excellent preparation for handling oneself in different types of negotiation with difficult people, and especially in the courtroom with polished presentation. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I had 30 inner city kids at a time, and no teacher's aide or anything like that. And let me tell you, when I first started, I was, you know, it was like seriously being thrown to the wolves. I'm telling you, and all the other teachers, if you can't manage your classroom, everybody looks down on you. I mean, you know.
Well, also the kids will tear you up.
Oh, totally. And I'll tell you, one of the things I learned very quickly is that the kids actually want discipline. I mean, they really wanted you to give them structure. I mean,
Exactly.
There were times that I actually, you know, would be gone for a day or something, and the substitute teacher would be there, and it was like total bedlam or something. And I would come back, and the kids would be like, oh my God, I missed you so much. You know, I mean, they actually wanted structure.
I know, it's amazing when you realize that. And I think that's how people are in general, like children, you know, as parents too, our children crave discipline because it's predictable for them. They know what to expect. And that's one thing, unfortunately, a lot of toxic parents don't do, is they don't discipline their children. I'm not talking punishment. I'm talking just setting up like consistency and routine and rules so that kids know what to expect and what's right and what's wrong. And it's sort of, you know, when they grow up with like nothing in this free for all, they don't know who likes them, who doesn't, you know, it's just chaos.
Yeah, totally, totally. It was really a great experience, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand and can relate to that. Okay, so I was going to say, what do you think some of the myths are for people going into the legal system at the very beginning? What have you noticed that
Oh,
maybe
my
your clients?
goodness. We don't have enough time, but here's one of them that is a biggie, is that, people think that they're going to go in front of a judge and the heavens are going to open up and the judge is going to go, oh my goodness, I can't believe you've been dealing with this. Oh, wow. Is how, we're going to solve this problem for you. And oh, wow, and this is all going to play out and here's how it's all going to happen for you. I mean, like, it's all going to be solved this way. Like, wait till the judge sees, and now it's all going to go your way. And and that is just not how it's going to happen. It's not like you're going to get in front of the judge and everything is going to go your way. It just
Or that the judge is going to listen to you, tell your story, right?
Right. It doesn't happen like that. Like, it's not like the heavens open up and angels are going to sing and it all goes your way. No, it does not happen like that. No, I'm sorry. I mean, I wish it did, but it just doesn't happen like that. No.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
that's definitely one myth for sure. I mean, another one for sure is when people are like, oh, I have this witness and this person's going to testify and that person's going to testify and I have all these people who are going to can testify on my behalf and that and but the reality of it is that, first of all, you don't want to go to trial. I mean, that's just not a great option for you if you can possibly avoid it. Sometimes you can't, especially when you're dealing with a narcissist.
Rebecca, can you explain why? Because I think people often think that they want to go straight to trial.
Right. Well, I mean, okay. So first of all, it's very, very, very expensive. Second of all, if you do go to trial, and even if you get 100% of everything that you want, the other side can appeal it, and then it goes on and on and on. And even if they do appeal it, they can ask for a stay of the order, meaning that your order just gets held in basically no man's land until the appeal goes all the way through, meaning that even if you got what you wanted, you're not going to see the benefits of your order until the appeal goes all the way through. So, there's that.
And that could take like a couple of years often.
Sometimes a couple of years. And appeals can sometimes be $100,000 or more. I mean, so that's the reality of an appeal. And so, and that's if you even win your trial. And then the other thing about a trial is that it's like if you get a full day, for example, and that's a lot of time to get for a trial. That's a lot of time. I mean, and if you get maybe 2 days or 3 days even, that's like an unheard of amount of time to get for a trial. I mean, that's a lot of time. I mean, the most amount of time you're really going to get maybe is a day, maybe. So let me just tell you what a day looks like for a trial, just from a reality check point of view.
Okay. We love reality checks.
Yeah, reality check point of view from somebody who's done literally hundreds of trials, okay? Literally hundreds. So opening statement, that's like half hour each counsel, at least probably. And then, but that's like if nobody had motions in limine, which take time, okay? And then there's going to be like time at the bar where everybody's going to argue about which evidence is even going to get in, you know. So let's say you have 9 to 5, okay? You don't even start calling your first witness until maybe 10:30, maybe, okay? And then you're going to have a break, okay? So the judge is going to call a break at like 10:30, something like that, 10:45. And then maybe they're going to have like arguments about what evidence gets to be put in, something like that. There's going to be a 15-minute, half-hour conversation about that. And then lunch. Lunch is 12 to 1. You haven't even finished your first witness yet. And you're already at lunch. And you know, the first witness is definitely going to be one of the parties. Whoever filed is probably going to get to go first. Okay, so you know, so it's husband or wife, and you're already in the afternoon. So and by the way, if you have a custody evaluator or you have a forensic accountant, like those people all have to testify. So this whole idea that, you know, you have the piano teacher or the coach or the neighbor or all these other people who can testify for you, that just never happens. I mean, that's just the reality of it. All those people that you think are going to be able to testify, that those tangential witnesses really just don't ever get to come into play. I mean, and so, and the judges, they take their lunch. They take their lunch. You know, let me tell you, they do. And they come in and they come back. And a lot of times they cover other hearings in between. Oh, they have to go do their guardian thing, or they stop to go sign documents in between, or whatever. And then they come back at 1:30 or whatever. And by the time, you know, that day is done, you haven't even gotten a chance to really do what you wanted to accomplish a lot of the times. And then maybe they might give you extra time, a half a day, another day, or something like that, and then it breaks it up. And so you feel like you got the momentum was killed or something. That's the reality of a trial. And that's just the reality of what it really actually looks like. So it's just not as fun as what you might think.
No, it's not fun. And I just finished 3 almost full days in one state and a half an hour in another state. And yeah, there's breaks all the time. And I kept thinking,
look like what I told you?
Yeah, but luckily, I mean, I'm pro se, so I wasn't paying my lawyer for all of those hours of sitting and waiting, and I wasn't calling witnesses and, you know, paying them for their time to sit and wait. So luckily, you know, I was able to save money. But yeah, it is so frustrating. And everything you said, especially with the exhibits, that took us at least an hour. Because even though you exchange exhibits beforehand, the person still says, oh, I didn't see it. And then the judge gets annoyed and says, you were supposed to do this beforehand. I'm going to stop the hearing and you're going to go yourselves up to the law library and you're going to exchange stuff yourself. And then you go back and it drags it out. It looks like someone had asked the question, like, why do you go through this? Because often you don't have a choice or there's other ways to do it. Actually, Rebecca, do you want to talk about, did you ever do like amicable divorce stuff, or what percentage of stuff ended up in settling or mediation?
Oh, I would say 80 to 85% do end up in mediation and settle in mediation, actually. Mm-hmm. Very few really end up actually going all the way through trial. And what I find interesting are the statistics, though, because if you look at the statistics of the percentage of people who are narcissists, it's 15% or whatever it is, right? 10 to 15%. Don't you think it's interesting that is also about 10 to 15% of the cases that end up in trial. I don't think that those statistics are a mistake. I think it's about the same percentage of it, because it's the narcissists that end up in trial, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, they say like 85 to 90 something percent are normal divorce, and then there's the high conflict craziness.
But it's also about 10 to 15% of the population who are narcissists. So don't you think that correlation is about that's not an accident, I don't think.
Yeah, and then you think of how many people that one person affects, because it's not usually just one person.
Right. But I had that aha moment the other day. I was like, if 80 to 90% of the cases settle and 10 to 15% of the population are narcissists, well, that's probably the same percentage of people who aren't settling the case. It's like the same the narcissists that aren't settling the case.
Right. So you think that all the cases in court are with crazy people because they were unwilling or unable to settle.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think about that all the time too. All right. So often people say that it's important to get an attorney that understands narcissism. And I was going to say, do you agree with that? And also, if you do get one, what kinds of traits should you look for in an attorney who, whether they do or don't understand it, like how they would be good for a difficult or high conflict situation?
Okay, so here's the thing about that, though. I practiced for 20 years and I never understood narcissism. I mean, I only just started figuring this out in the last 2 years or so. I mean, 2.5 years. And, I don't even practice law anymore. So, not, I mean, I'm still a law partner, but I don't practice. So I can't say that. I mean, I'm getting ready to roll out a certification program for lawyers, and I'm starting to lecture to lawyers. So I mean, I think that there will be more lawyers that understand it. But I mean, are you going to get a lawyer that really understands it and gets it? I mean, I don't know that. So I think people have had more awareness about it now that I have been starting to do YouTube videos, and they're watching my videos going, hey, she gets it. Let me go find someone who gets it, So I don't know that they're going to find somebody that gets it the way I get it, but can they find somebody who's going to be supportive of them? Sure. And that's, I think, the most important thing. I think the most important thing is to find somebody who's going to be willing to listen to them. Find somebody who's going to be willing to be open. I mean, so in my SLAY program, I include a 5-page packet that I say print out, give it to your lawyer, that explains what's going on, that says, here are the do's and don'ts when you're dealing with a narcissist, that explains narcissism and says, here are the things that you shouldn't do when you're dealing with this type of personality. And here are the things you should do when you're dealing with this type of personality. And so I think that you should find a lawyer that's going to be willing to read a packet like that and go, okay, yeah, I can do this. And if you have a lawyer that goes, oh, that's a bunch of crap, I'm doing it my way and whatever, then I would say keep going. Because, you want a lawyer who's going to be willing to listen to you and be on your side. You don't want to be victimized again.
Yeah.
You've already been traumatized and victimized by a narcissist. You don't need that again.
Yeah, we often say that people who come out of these toxic relationships sometimes throw themselves at the mercy of an attorney that it's just like repeating the same type of relationship where they gave all the authority to their ex. And then they're like, okay, now lawyers saved my life. I'm just going to believe everything you're going to do is going to protect me and help me. But we encourage our clients, like, you can't repeat that same toxic cycle. You have to learn to take strategic oversight of your case. And certainly you hire an attorney that's going to help you reach your goals and hopefully even figure out what your goals should be, which should be to really get out of this as quickly and as painlessly as possible, but not to just have them be like your superhero and think that they're going to take care of everything.
The attorney's job is to help you with the law.
Exactly.
I mean, other than that, I mean, the attorney has no way of knowing what you know about your case. I mean, they just don't. And that's just the bottom line. And there's, and they don't have the emotional vested interest in your case that you have. I mean, no one does other than you.
Right, right.
So,
I was gonna say sometimes, well, one of our friends that's an attorney said that when he was in law school taught 90% law and 10% client relations, but in real life, you know, clients, like especially the ones that we share, like the people dealing with difficult situations and narcissists, they need 90% of client relations and 10% law because they require so much hand-holding. So when you were practicing, did your firm have any other resources that you refer people to for that sort of more bedside manner, knowing that lawyers are just supposed to handle the law? You know, what did you do with your really needy clients?
well, I mean, we would refer them to therapists or people like that. I mean, you know, I was lucky. I mean, my receptionist was also my cousin's wife, and she had come out of being in the funeral business, and she had been, she'd been a funeral director, and she was so wonderful because she had been working with people who had lost loved ones. And so she was so empathetic and so wonderful. My clients absolutely loved her. So we were very lucky with her. So, you know, we did.
You know, that makes sense because there's so much involved with grief in these situations and mourning the loss of a relationship, whether it's a bad one or a good one, there is grief. So that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I've never heard anyone mention that they had like a paralegal or receptionist who had that background, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, she was so wonderful with all of us. I mean, you know, she was like the one who would like throw parties and birthday parties and decorate the whole office for every single holiday and everything. You know, she was great with that, with everyone in my office. But my clients absolutely loved her because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I was going to say, you know, that we know that for a lot of people that divorce, it doesn't end. So once they're divorced, it's still continued with post-separation abuse. And so I know you have this amazing program called Slay. Like when clients take Slay, or am I calling it right? Like it's just the Slay program, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when clients take the Slay program where they do it, what kinds of qualities do you want them to develop so they can use it moving forward through the divorce and afterwards?
Oh, well, for me, it's all about understanding that you have the power and that you alone define your value. And I mean, in some ways, the why part of Slay, I mean, so Slay, I should tell people, stands for strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focus on you. And you develop super strong strategy, create invincible leverage, anticipate what the narcissist is going to do and be 2 steps ahead of them, and focus on you, your case, and your position. And yes, you also stands for, you know, developing a good offense. And I always say to people, like the best football teams, you know, if all they have is a good defense, nobody's scoring any points, you know, and which is really important to have a very good offense. But 99% of it is having a good mindset. And you cannot, the best lawyers, you know, whatever it is, if you don't think that you can win, nobody can help you. Nobody can help you. You have to believe that you can do it. I mean, I used to tell my clients that, like, I cannot help you if you don't believe that you can win. Like, you have to believe it before anybody else can.
This is making me think about, and I think we touched on it a little bit the other day, how we're concerned that there's this culture of victimology that's being promoted on social media with all this terrible news about people losing in family court. And I know a lot of people are showing up on our doorstep absolutely terrified and feeling like they're going to lose no matter what. Their biggest fear is that they're going to lose their kids. They're going to lose everything. And part of our role is like helping, giving them the reality check of like, no, you know, it's not always like that. Like you're hearing these extreme stories, but like you said, 80-something% often settles and it doesn't get like that. And I know a lot of our clients, once they start getting that confidence back and realizing there's a lot that you can do, that, you know, you have a better chance of a better outcome, because when you're more confident, you present better to a guardian ad litem, you present better to a judge, but it involves like learning to calm down and not be so scared, you know, with the nightmare scenario of like everything is lost. So how were you able to help your clients get, if they came to you like terrified, how were you able to help them start believing in themselves again and feeling like they do have a chance of winning?
I mean, a lot of times people will say, oh, the family court is skewed, or judges are biased, or, you know, they don't want to hear it, or they, you know, all they do is buy the narcissist lies, or, you know, they'll say things like that, which are very fatalistic, you know. And, you know, what I say all the time is, do you want to be right about that? Or do you want to win?
Good.
So, I mean, what do you want? Because we're not changing the court system overnight. The system is what it is right now. Okay? You have to work within the system that we have. And so what I teach people is that you have to take the facts that you have and put them in terms that the judge will care about.
Exactly.
What does the judge care about? The judge cares about the law. So I teach people all the time, what are the 5 main areas of the law? Property settlement, spousal support, custody, child support, attorney's fees. That's it. Those are the 5 main areas of the law. So don't use the word narcissist, but you can take those 5 main areas of the law and figure out how to meld or something, you know, take one of those prongs and figure out how to take the facts that you have and put them in terms that the judge is going to care about. There is absolutely always a way. And that's what I teach people how to do within the SLAY program. What I teach within the program is actually how to organize your evidence so that it actually becomes leverage for you, so that the judge will actually care about it, so that you're actually exposing the narcissist for who he or she is, so that you can actually win, so you actually feel confident, so that you actually feel powerful, you actually get the results that you want. I teach you how to do that. That's what I do.
Yeah, totally agree. And I'm thinking also, when people use the word, they throw the word abuse around all the time. Unfortunately, judges become jaded to that. Like nobody wants to hear it because everyone says it all the time. So I know with our clients.
Yeah, you know the analogy that I use for that? For
What?
Anybody who has more than one kid, you know how like when your kids come at you and they're like fighting all the time and you're like, oh my God, both of you just stop.
Exactly.
That's how judges feel about fighting people. That's what they just see with 2 people all the time. They don't see, like, they're just so used to people throwing around the words abuse and narcissist and they see literally thousands of people come through their courtroom.
Just shut off in the middle. So anyway, I'm using a different phone. I'm so sorry that my phone shut down in the middle of talking to Rebecca. And let me see if this works. Sorry.
No worries.
Oh, this happened the other week. I think I need to get a new phone. Anyway, so let's see. What were we just saying? As we were talking, I saw this thing go shutting down, shutting down. You were talking. I'm like, oh no, I don't even know like at what point it ended.
I was just talking about how to present your evidence in family court.
I know what you were talking about. Okay, so the last thing we were talking about, and you gave that excellent metaphor of how judges, it's almost like when a parent has 2 or more kids and the kids are fighting and say, just stop it already, and that they can't stand it because they don't know who's what. You know, I was going to say that I know we tell our clients too, it's going to take time for someone to figure it out. Nobody wants to hear the word narcissist. Nobody wants to hear the word abuse. They want to see patterns of behavior over time. So the documentation that you're talking about, you know, for the factors that a judge really cares about, that's how that comes into play. So instead of just complaining, like saying, here's what I have and it's organized, and now keep talking about what you were saying.
Right.
Get
right.
ready.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I do in the SLAY program is I help people organize their evidence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then I was going to say, so now you've also started this SLAY Foundation. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So I did that with Lindsay Snyder Ellingson, who owns In-N-Out. And it is a foundation for people to be able to get access to help with legal fees. And it is not just pro bono, which is not necessarily fair for the lawyers either. So it is people to get access for actual paying lawyers so that they can, so one of the things that I don't think people understand in this country is that the Constitution provides for a lawyer if you are a criminal. You get a lawyer appointed if you are a criminal. That's why there are, you know, criminal defense attorneys that are appointed to you if you are a criminal. But you do not get a lawyer appointed to you if you are in a civil case. So if you are in a civil case and you need help, then you are dependent on, pro bono, like legal aid and things like that. And, that's why people lose their children or lose their homes, or veterans come home, they can't get help. If you can't afford an attorney, then you're really stuck unless you can get pro bono help or legal aid. And so I was working with Lindsay Snyder Ellingson, and she and I just recorded a podcast, which we are in the process of editing and getting out. But she is the owner of In-N-Out, which is a huge burger chain. And I had occasion to coach her, actually. And she approached me about starting some sort of some kind of something. She said, hey, let's do something together. And I said, well, I've always wanted to do something with legal aid. And she said, okay, let's do it. And so SLAY Legal Aid Foundation was born, and it just got up and running. And we just hired a brand new executive director. She's the former executive director of the Erin Brockovich Foundation. So Erin Erin Brockovich is involved in the foundation as well. I know.
It's amazing.
I know. I'm so excited. And so we are literally just getting our wings and getting going with it. But So excited that we're going to be able to bring this to people and be able to match people with attorneys and be able to pay attorneys and be able to get people actual help with legal fees. So super excited
That
about it.
incredible. Is that just going to be, I know you're California, is that just California or is it
No, we're
national?
going to be bringing this nationally. We're bringing this to everywhere.
How are people going to find you? Like, what do people have to do? Or is this like for a whole other conversation?
It's, yeah, we're going to have an application process, and we'll be having it'll be in all 50 states, and it will be, yeah, and and it won't just be family law. I mean, we want it to be but it will be for people in areas of, critical needs. So it'll be for people who need help with getting their children back, or, saving their homes, or for veterans who need benefits, or for people who are victims of human trafficking. We want it to be for people who are in critical need for absolute, situation, life and death types of situations. So,
Wow. So
yeah.
you have your SLEEP program that anybody can sign up for, and that's the workshop on helping them with their own cases. And then you have this other thing where they'll be matched with a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. And, I tell people all the time, I very definitely had way more clients than I ever could have needed in my law practice. I didn't need to do any of this. I mean, I definitely, even today, if I wanted to go back to practicing law, I was very, very fortunate in my practice. I mean, if I wanted to go back and do that, if I sat down at my desk, by tomorrow I would have way too much work. All of this that I'm doing is really because I very much feel passionately about giving people access to information. That's why I put out so much free content on YouTube every single day, and why I sit here and talk to you, and I have a podcast that goes out every single week, and I'm doing the Slave Foundation, and I really very much believe in giving people as much information as possible, because I feel very, very passionately about this work.
Yeah, well, we are thrilled to hear that. And I just want to say thank you so much for talking to me today, and especially for all the work that you've done and all the education and empowerment that you're putting out there for people. And especially with this new foundation, it's like, what are you going to do in 5 years? I can't even imagine. But this is very exciting.
Well, yeah, I mean, most people know that I had to deal with a narcissist in a business situation a couple of years ago myself. So after I decided to merge my practice a few years ago and decided to do some other entrepreneurial things, I had to deal with a narcissist in a business situation. And that was what sent me down the whole path of learning about narcissism. And, it was that whole journey that really, I mean, I had been lecturing on negotiation for years. And I was the keynote speaker for the ABA, and I had written a book on negotiation, and Robert Shapiro wrote the foreword for it. And I'd done all this stuff on negotiation, but it was not until I had a narcissistic business partner a couple of years ago, and all this crazy stuff started happening, and the gaslighting, and the flying monkeys, and the smear campaign, and the whole crazy money started going missing, and just the nuts. And literally in the middle of the night, I was like thinking about it, and I was like started obsessing about it, and I completely felt like the life was being drained out of me. And I didn't have the words of energy vampire, but I remember just thinking like, I just felt like it was like a leech. I just remembered like the word leech kept coming to my brain. Like, I was like, I just feel like this leech, like it's just like sucking, like I feel like it's like draining me. And I was, and nobody would like believe me. Oh, but
Mhm.
she seems so nice. Oh, you know, I'm sure it must be inadvertent, you know, like, cause, oh, you know, because she seems so nice. And I just really like, it's not inadvertent. Like, I just remember like thinking like, no. And, you know, and so it wasn't until I really dove into all of this that I really started being able to understand it, and how I really started understanding how to negotiate with these people. And that's when I really started figuring out kind of the framework on how to get what you want from these people. And I, when I started applying it to my divorce cases, because I was still practicing at the time, that's when I started realizing, oh, this is working. I, ah, like it was like I discovered penicillin. I I was like, oh my God, after 20 years, like I finally figured this out. And so that I want people to understand that if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. And that that's why I feel so passionate about this. And that's why I'm on this mission and this crusade about this, and why I want to make sure that everybody has access to this.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you told that story too, because I think that so many of us blame ourselves, and often people who are very educated and intelligent and professional are like, they feel worse because other people say to them, I thought you were smarter than that, or don't you, you know, you of all people, I wouldn't think that you would fall for something like that. And it makes us feel even worse. So again, I'm really glad that you shared that if it can happen to you and everything you've been through and how educated and just life experience that you have, it does happen to anybody. And we can't blame ourselves just because we fell for it. You know, you just do the best you can, and you take your knowledge and hope that you'll have better narc radar next time.
Yeah, I just don't want anybody to carry any shame about it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Do. I mean, there's a lot, you know that. There's a lot of
Oh, I
shame with that.
know. Well, and I don't want to carry any shame about it either.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't want to carry it, and I don't want anybody else to either. So I just want to use my experience to help other people, and that's why I'm on this mission to you know, use my experience to help people, and that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And someone asked a question, but I think it might be too much to get into. Maybe we can do this again. They were like, can you talk about negotiating with a narcissist? Do you want to wait for another time to talk about that?
Well, I mean, in a nutshell, I mean, you just have to figure out what form of leverage. I mean, you just have to kind of figure out a way to get them to not want to, you have to kind of figure out a way to expose them. I mean, that's really the crux of it, because they're getting supply from you. They're getting supply from manipulating you and jerking you around. And so you're going to have to figure out what form of supply is going to mean more to them to keep or protect than the supply that they're getting from jerking you around. And that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's diamond level supply, what I call diamond level supply, which is how they look. And then there's what I call coal level supply, which is like a lesser form. And that's the supply that they get from manipulating you and jerking you around. And the problem that most people have in negotiating is that they only think about the diamond level supply. They think that all the narcissist cares about is winning, and so, or money or something like that. And so they go, well, I can't figure it out. Like I gave them everything they wanted. But they forget about the fact that they're also getting supply from jerking you around and manipulating you. And so unless you can figure out a way to threaten whatever source of supply means more to them to keep, which is how they look, than the supply that they get from jerking you around. And that's all part of the strategy. So you go strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focus on you. So that's kind of it in a nutshell in the 2-minute version. But that's about as quick as I can get it, I think.
That was good. That was really good. Okay, so people can find the Slave program if they just go to you. They go to your website, or best to go through Instagram. How can they get to it?
Well, I have a free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet that people can start with, and they can go to winmynegotiation.com. It's a 15-page ebook. It's a 15-page ebook that I give away for free. So they can go to winmynegotiation.com and get that. So I would definitely start with that. But yeah, I would start there, and yeah, definitely start with that. But yeah, that's really it in a nutshell. I mean, the great thing about narcissists is that they're like one-trick ponies. They're really only after one thing, and that's supply. I mean, they're totally heinous to deal with, but they're very easy to understand because they're only after one thing, and that's supply.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Rebecca, again.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. And I saw someone said I got some editing to do. I don't know what's going on with our technology, but we'll figure it out.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay. Thanks again.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.